Hello, hello, it's Mo on the go with another show. How are you guys doing? I'm trying to set up my camera so that it's not going to shake everywhere and it's going to capture me nicely. How have you been, guys? First of all, huge apologies as usual. Please forgive me. I haven't been around. A lot of things happened. First of all, number one, my parents came to visit me, and like twice in the same month. I was like, hiya, who called these people? They decided they're just going to show up. And my mom just said, you know what? Come, I don't know where we are. We're at this hotel. Come over. I said, you're kidding me, man. Are you serious? Yeah, so they're here. So I was really happy. Then the next time, they stayed like about 10 days. And then after that, they said, we'll be back. Because it was kind of cold in Nairobi. So I didn't know that they were going to come back at you before 2 weeks were over. They were back. The next thing, I'm going to pick them again from the airport. And then my mom was like, I almost throwing a tantrum. She didn't want to go back. Don't blame her. Mombasa is nice and warm. You can see my skin is glowing, hopefully a little bit of sweaty. But it feels good. Your skin is hydrated and you're happy. Somebody was telling me, well, you're looking really good these days. I said, yeah, that's because I'm in Mombasa. Mo is in in the right place. I'm getting more sunshine. I'm getting oxygenating in my blood because you see, we're at sea level. When you're at sea level, the density of the air is, very dense. It's full of oxygen, so it oxygenates you. On top of that, I'm eating well, I'm drinking well. Every single day, I have my watermelon mango juice freshly squeezed. Today, I just had mango, I didn't have watermelon. So I'm eating well, I'm also happier. I'm just really happy being here. The only thing that makes me a little bit sad is that I'm not yet with my hubby. But anyway, God willing, very soon we're going to meet up. It's been long. And this COVID has not been nice. Coming now to the topic of our discussion today. This time I'm going to go a little bit off tangent from my norms and talk about something that's bothering a lot of people, which is anxiety. Anxiety and stress. And I wanted to address it in a light-hearted manner to say, you know what, I've lived, yeah? I'm already on the fifth deck. You know what the fifth deck is? I'm in my 50s. I may not look it, I may not sound it, but I am it. Right there in the mix, yeah. Not yet having the hot flashes or any of that, but having other kinds of flashes, happening in my body. But the issue of anxiety and stress, I've been through it, even when I was younger, as a younger mother. And when I see a lot of younger people very nervous and concerned about what's going to happen, I really understand them because I've been there. I understand you guys, I've been there. So what I wanted to talk about today was how to manage your anxiety during uncertain periods like now, during COVID-19, and in a situation where maybe you have responsibilities for children or aging parents, or you were working and you're expected to deliver in a very different context than you're usually used to. So this is just like a discussion to say, how are you guys coping with that? How are you coping? Are you very anxious to the point where you can't sleep at night? Are you so anxious that you're losing your temper with your kids, with your friends? Are you so anxious that you've decided to pull back and just sit and vegetate and not interact with people? Do you have so much anxiety that you can no longer plan? I was talking to my hubby the other day, a little bit frustrated, saying, you know what, hubby, I am a planner. I need information. Okay? And so for me to function happily, I need information. And guess what's rare these days? Information. Because the information that's out there is just like, half bits of truths and a bit of lies, a little bit of exaggeration, threats, all kinds of, very scary stuff going on outside there. So I wanted to say that what do I rely on during my anxiety? I rely on my inner strength. Because I know who I am. I know what I've been through. I've been through a lot. Even if you're younger, you can think back to the days when you had a lot of anxiety, or maybe you're not in control of the circumstances around you and how you coped. And if you don't know, if you never experienced that, perhaps you could also talk to a few people. You've heard stories about how people cope through adversity. Because this adversity is kind of like a fire, and it, takes us through it. And if you are like iron, you'll be sharper. But if you're like wood, you'll get burnt and become ashes. So we should all aim to be really tough and to be really strong, okay? And what that being tough and being strong means is that you need to take a hold of your thoughts. First of all, capture your mind and capture your thoughts and say, my thoughts don't control me. I control my thoughts. I control my thinking process. My thinking process is not determined by what other people think of what's going on in the world. Because one thing you need to understand is that this world is full of people who, some of them have coping skills, others don't have coping skills. Some who have coping skills have decided to, compromise those skills by maybe indulging during this period in things like over-drinking, oversleeping, overeating, and generally just, zoning out of the world. Instead of facing things the way they should be, lock your horns with the world and say, you know what, this is how it's going to be. You have to actually exert the same force into the world that is being exerted on you. Otherwise, it's going to be like this. You cannot be pushed by the world like that. You got to push back. You got to push back so that you have balance. You got to push back. And to push back, you have to be strong. You have to be strong physically, emotionally, spiritually, and every other way, psychologically. You have to be strong to push back. This information is coming to push you off onto a cliff. You push back, okay, with your belief systems, with your knowledge, with your strength. Push back, okay, push back. And one of the ways that I push back is by educating myself, understanding as much as I can about the truth, and investigating and researching what's happening. So let's put this into practicals. For example, we have the kids who are going back to school in Kenya, for example, on Monday. So as a parent, you're probably rather anxious about, oh my God, is my child going to keep their mask on? Oh my God, do I have enough money to send my child to school? Oh, I have to pay school fees. I have transportation. I'm worried about my child's health. What if the child falls ill? What if the child comes back here ill and then makes all of our family get sick? And I can't afford to pay for the hospital bill, blah, 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 blah. So what I want to say is that don't allow those thoughts to dominate your mind. Yeah? Tell yourself that whatever happens, I will manage it. And I will manage it one step at a time. One of my friends told me, an African-American friend of mine, when I was in school in the US, when I became a single parent all of a sudden, I remember she told me, you know what? You got to choose your battles. You got to choose. There's so many battles in the world today, and you got to choose the ones you're going to fight. I said to myself, that's the best advice I've ever received. Don't already start resolving problems that don't already exist. Is your child sick? Not yet. And we're praying never. So what we could do is to say, okay, you're going to give your child the lessons. You're going to let them know what they need to do. You need to sanitize your hands. How do you sanitize? You wash your hands, often, and wash your face often. Okay, try to avoid touching your face all the time, but don't panic if you do touch your face. It's okay. Okay, try to keep social distance as much as possible. That doesn't mean that you can't play with your friends, but try to avoid touching them in places like their mouths and their ears, and don't let them come whispering into your ear the way children always do. Talk to them, from a safe distance away. Yeah, remember to always wash your hands. Yeah, so you can only do what you can for your child, but also at the same time, this mask that we're giving our children to wear. We heard about what happened in, for example, was it China? Yeah, it was in China where 3 children died, okay, exercising with masks. We must also take control of the information and let our teachers and headmasters know in advance that as a parent, you have an expectation that they will enforce school masks only up to the stage where the child feels comfortable. Because if a child is vulnerable and maybe has asthma, or maybe the child doesn't feel comfortable with their mask, they should definitely be allowed to remove it or to bring it down, and breathe normally. Because again, if they were to take in too much carbon dioxide, they'll poison their blood system. And that's going to, beat the defensiveness of the mask, against the COVID-19 virus. The other thing that they should do is wash with hands, soap and water, make sure they disinfect the school classrooms and things like that. So I just think that, if we could just take precautions for our kids, I think they will be all right. Yeah. There's a friend of mine who's a YouTuber, Obodo Oyiba, who says that who claims that she feels that she was infected with COVID by her child, a school-going child. And that's a real possibility, That is a possibility. But there are many other school-going children who are returning home and not infecting their families. I would say that that would probably be an unfortunate scenario that happened. All right. And yes, it can happen. But if it were to happen, are you prepared? What would you do? What would you be your first line of defense? Okay. So what you do is that you plan for the future. Plan. If your child exhibits these symptoms, keep them home. If you yourself feel unwell, check. Okay, check and make sure that you don't have this COVID. Don't sit with it, because there's a way that you can treat it in advance before it gets to the point where you have to go to ICU and get, have to be on oxygen, etc. So I would say that, first of all, don't fear the hospitals. That's another thing. So I know that I've concentrated a lot on parents and sending their children back to school and money. And the COVID situation, the health issue. How about finances? At the moment, there's nobody who doesn't understand that we're having financial issues at the moment. I remember when I was a single mom with a child going to school and I didn't have a regular income because I was a consultant for a long time and I had to wait for my payments. I actually sat down with the finance team at my son's school and I said, you know what, or the headmistress, and I said, you know what, my circumstances are XYZ. I get paid this way. And when I pay, I will pay it in bulk. Will you allow me to do that, please? Yeah. And honestly, sincerely, they would not send me reminders because they know, that is what. And for me, I keep my promise. When it comes to paying my child's school fees, when I say I'm going to pay, I do pay. I do. And it's very important. Keep your promises as far as possible. Give people advance notice if you're not able to clear a bill in time. I know some of you probably do not have that as a potential opportunity. So ask yourself, what are your other options? If you absolutely cannot afford at all to take your child to school, you barely have enough money for food in the house, then should you take your child to school? Absolutely not. Don't make stupid mistakes like taking your child to school when you know very well you don't have the money to pay their school fees and even to buy your food. Make sure that child knows, what the curriculum is, and find a way to homeschool your child. Homeschool your child. You can homeschool your children. It's not illegal in this country of Kenya. Okay? Just make sure that your child does not fall behind, and also work really hard to try to make sure that gap is going to be contained. And if you're going to continue with homeschooling, then make sure that the child actually does sit down and study, and help the child to understand that this is only for a season and that you are going to make sure that the child goes back to school eventually. So what I would say is, don't overstress yourself to the point where you're going to get diabetes, hypertension, and every other disease in the world, and get psychosis and go mentally berserk because you cannot do what other parents are doing. Okay? Yeah. Okay. So you may hear some noise in the background. I have some neighbors here who have kids, and they're the ones who are reminding me actually about this situation. When I see the children, I think about the parents a lot. Yeah. So also the other thing is that avoid exaggerations. There's some people who are really over-exaggerating the COVID. We know very well that COVID exists, yes. But we also know scientifically that COVID is not impacting people as much as the common flu has impacted people. Okay? More people have died from the common flu virus than the COVID-19 virus. That's a fact. The other thing is that in Africa, it has been shown that this virus is behaving differently. Not to say that we are not subject to potential infection, but to say that we do not have to have this heightened sense of insecurity because of COVID-19. All right? All we can say is that we can continue to practice the good hygiene habits that we have, okay, to avoid this. Now, when it comes to anxiety about, for example, finances and stuff, and how you're going to manage your life going forward, all I can say is this: keep on doing what you have been doing in the past, okay? But at the same time, think about how you can change a little bit of that. So, for example, I'm one of those people who used to be very, very dependent, who is naturally a very independent person. I'm not comfortable getting help from other people. I'm usually the person who helps others. That's a kind of arrogance and pride that is not needed right now. Okay? Right now, it's okay to say, as a middle-class person, I need help. I need help. And I'll be honest and tell you that I received a bit of help from my own parents. And I didn't ask them because they know. They just say, you know what, that lady or that daughter of ours, she'll die there in Mombasa without any support. Let us go and do what we can do for her. And if there's anything that is very important, if you have parents who are able to help, if you're not the one who's helping them and they can help you, go ahead and accept the help. If it's not a parent, it's a friend. If it's not a friend, maybe it's a job, it's your work, it's your employer. It could be, you can talk to the bank manager, if you know that you have a source of income. But do whatever you can to negotiate. This is your time now for building up negotiation skills. It's not the time to try to put up a face, If you have items that you can sell that you absolutely do not need, think about ways, that you can sell them. People are starting to come up into, different business ventures. And I would say, yes, you can probably explore those. But at the same time, if it requires a heavy investment, I would say hold off at the moment. Hold off. Because this is not the time to invest. So what I would like to conclude by saying is that anxiety is manageable. It comes with skills and capacities. Anxiety is supposed to build in us that adrenaline to fight back. So if you pushed back, all right, push back. Don't sit there and be, oh my God, feel sorry for yourself. Yeah, okay, feel sorry for yourself for a little while, but don't stay there in your sorrowful state, because who's going to help you? Yeah. So guys, I wish you the best, and I know that this context, whatever I talked about today, probably pertains to the Kenyan context specifically. But I would say even those people in the diaspora, if you're living abroad and you're worrying about how to make ends meet, try and see what within your system you can use. Be resourceful. What within your system is available to help you, to bridge the gaps. Okay? And when it comes to relationships, try your best to control your personality, to control yourself, to control your moods, control how you think and how you feel, and what you're projecting to other people. Because what you project is projected back, and it raises anxiety levels within the household or within your office or within your team. Try your best to be a firefighter. Yeah, that's something I'm also learning myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So guys, so nice talking to you. I don't have very much to say to you. I'm trying to put together a few vlogs for you, and I will. Soon you're going to see more information from me. For now, I'd like to say thank you so much for listening to me. I hope I didn't bore you. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you're feeling less anxious and that you're going to push back when you're pushed. Okay? You have the capacity, you have the ability. It will make you happier and stronger. Take care. Toodles.